Hi everybody, welcome to Raising Vibrations with myself, Simon. Today guys, we're going to be going through Uranus in the 10th house and basically just sharing with you some of my perspectives, ideas, and how to maybe apply some healing associated with the placement of Uranus in the 10th house, okay? Now, before I go ahead and actually describe to you some of the dynamics that are associated with the sign, I highly recommend watching the introduction video. Okay, what the introduction video does is it gives you a grounded perspective about what Uranus actually symbolizes in the birth chart, okay, and how it actually manifests for ourselves within our consciousness in terms of our awakening state, okay? So the biggest thing that is also associated with Uranus in the 10th house, and actually just before I go ahead and start describing some of the stuff, I also wanted to let you know that Uranus moving through Capricorn, and whenever Uranus is transiting your 10th house, this will symbolize the same types of dynamics. These will all manifest the same in that way, okay? So with Uranus in the 10th house, this can be quite a challenging aspect. And one of the main reasons why that's the case is because the 10th house reflects the nature of our definition, okay? How we are outwardly showing the world who we are. I always see the 10th house and or Capricorn as the shell, the bark on the tree, the skin on our body. It is the protection mechanism that is associated with nature. However, in human form, what it takes on is this kind of like egoic role of understanding yourself as this is who I am defined as, and this is what I look like to the outside world, and how people see me from the outside perspective. So what Uranus in the 10th house symbolizes is a soul that is essentially breaking free from all of its definitions and crystallized, outmoded, outdated ideas about how it has defined itself in the past. Which is why I say it can be quite an interesting and very stressful aspect, because in the nature of our lives that we have constructed, our career defines that, okay? For most of us, that definition has been placed in the career, in the job that we have. Which means that when Uranus is moving through that placement, you experience constant upheavals and changes, or feelings of working through, being defined a certain way, and then that having to be fractured, because Uranus is saying there's nothing here that's supposed to be constant. You're supposed to actually constantly be, shattering the form of what you define yourself as. So every single time you do a job, for instance, or you go into a career field, it not only has to be very unique and very upbeat and very sort of like spacious so that you're constantly changing. You also have to allow yourself the recognition that if you're going to be doing something, the possibility of it lasting for an entire lifetime might not necessarily be the case. Now, one of the other dynamics that are associated with Uranus in the 10th house is a soul that's coming through where there is an incredible amount of social judgment and a feeling of not being worthy in that sense. Uranus in the 10th house will correlate to that social rejection and that feeling of persecution or judgment that I'm not good enough for that experience. And a lot of suppression of your own identity, your personal identity, your uniqueness, your individuality being suppressed. And having to conform to things, and sometimes even suppress your own emotional nature because of the fact that you're essentially needing to follow a set series of authority or a set series of rules, and you can't break free from those rules, even though Uranus is saying, I'm needing to do this consistently. So it creates this sort of like mental trauma where your own individuality gets expressed in a way, but then what comes back at you is a sense of rejection, which then stops you from interacting at all in that way. So it's about interacting with those dynamics. Now, another thing that's associated with this is that one or both of your parents, when you were growing up, might have been somebody that was imposing some of these judgments or criticisms, or even created this experience around you where they weren't available, or that you had to grow up very quickly, or that the relationship between both of the parents might not necessarily have been great. Even you having to take responsibility in that way. And a big part of that experience is part of your own soul's journey from the past of having that mental distress and trauma associated with the nature of your own personal authority and how you integrate that into the world. So a big part of the Uranus in the 10th house is actually recognizing that you are learning to redefine yourself in the world, and you're having to step into your own power, your own individual authority, and in that sense, not having a really strong relationship with any authority figures outside of yourself, because you'll be constantly challenging them, which will cause that mental trauma because people don't like to be challenged when they are in authority positions themselves. So a big part of this experience for you in terms of this lifetime is coming to terms with those things, and then reintegrating yourself back into the world where you feel that you can be your own boss, your own leader, and taking charge of your own destiny in that way. Internal security is a very big part of this placement. The last thing that I wanted to say to you with regards to this placement as well is that you will be experiencing cycles of futility, cycles of maybe even depression sometimes. And the reason why this is the case is because you will really set like strong goals and be determined about something, manifest incredible insights and do really great work, and then only to have none of that actually being recognized. And a big part of that experience is then that feeling of futility, that you put so much work into something and then realized nothing came back in return, and it was like, but I did this and I never got recognized for it. Okay? Right, so I hope this resonated with you and this video was great. Please be sure to check out my website, simonvorster.com, and actually book a soul session reading with myself. And give yourself the opportunity to delve deeper into the nature of your own soul's journey. And hopefully we can shed some perspective on what it is that is actually manifesting for you and how to break free from those limitations. So I highly recommend that. Other than that, I hope you have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.